The Turkish military has banned Game of Thrones. In fact, if anybody is caught watching Game of Thrones, they will be kicked out of the military. Just to give you an example, according to the Jerusalem Post, in a sign of the growing trend toward Islamization, the military has been instructed to cease watching the show as part of its new Protection of Students regulation that bans sexual exploitation, pornography, exhibitionism, abuse, harassment, and all negative behavior. All negative behavior.
Yeah, thank God they didn't write that too broadly. Thank God that didn't give them broad, sweeping powers to punish anybody for anything they want to punish them for.
So people in Turkey have actually gotten kicked out of the military in the past because of Game of Thrones. In fact, Turkish army officers were kicked out of the military academy in Istanbul in 2012 for permitting cadets to watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, here's what I can say about that, knowing what Cenk has told me about the Turkish army. Those officers are the luckiest sumbitches in Turkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you've kicked me out of the Turkish army. Oh, it's horrible.
Damn
okay,
it.
well, thanks. I'm going to get my stuff. I guess what, you were going to give me my discharge papers? Or you know what? Just send them to me. Just send them to me at home. I'm fine. I'll see you later.
I'm going to go watch Game of Thrones, right?
I'm going to go.
Put my legs up, just relax.
And when I'm done, I'm going to watch some porn.
Okay, so what I never really understand is why, I get it, I watch Game of Thrones, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, I know that there's a lot of sexual activity in that show, I know that there's a lot of violence in that show, I think that's part of the appeal. But nonetheless, it's not the most violent show out there. There are so many other shows that are so violent and have a ton of sexual content. Yet Game of Thrones seems to be the one that people pick on the most, probably because of its popularity and probably because it's one of the best damn shows that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, this article doesn't point out the other shows. I mean, they probably threw people out for watching Scandal also, you know. I just don't see a lot of Turkish military officers watching Scandal.
Neither do I.
You know, the tension between the president and Olivia Pope is palpable. Quiet, I don't care about the Kurds, enough with the Kurds.
It's amazing.
You know what my problem with stories like this is? I think I've got the definitive, I'll avoid the gavel, but I've got the definitive ruling on stories like this. Because we do these stories and we all know, like, this is insane.
Yeah.
It's a dumb ruling, it's overly broad. Some, by the way, incredibly innocent person is going to get punished under the anything negative clause,
right.
The all negative behavior clause.
And
to say nothing of what
broad.
they'll determine to be pornography or exhibitionism or harassment. You know, look, it just means they want everybody to conform to their standards of what propriety is, and it's wrong and it's dangerous, and again, it will punish the innocent. What it also means, though, is that leaders, people with the task of leading others into battle, into the most dangerous thing we ever asked men and women to do in the name of the state. That the people who run this got together and spent their fucking time doing this.
Yeah.
And they didn't spend time thinking, well, we're letting women in the Turkish army now. Are they safe? Are the gays in the military safe? Or forget that. Forget my big lefty is making people say, like, I got it. You're in the military. Follow our lead. We're in charge. Are we feeding them well enough? Are we keeping them properly motivated enough? Are we training them enough? Maybe you need to train them more, the kind of things you should be discussing. Maybe we should be building a base closer to the Kurdish territories. Maybe we should be backing off. Maybe we should be reaching out. Do we have enough Turks who speak the Kurdish language, right? All of these things. Do we need to train more people in military intelligence operations? Do we need to teach more translators? Instead, they decided to have their meeting about Game of Thrones.
Right. But, you know, to be fair to them, and this is me, I don't know, I'm making an assumption. It could be possible that they've done all of those things that you've mentioned and at the same time focus on banning things like Game of
Because the
Thrones.
people who do that, the people who do this don't do that. The people who do this have no sense of priority. So I'm not saying that they wouldn't occasionally get something right. It's possible that they would get something right. But more than likely, they get stuff wrong all the time. And anybody who does this, as opposed to just saying, no, you can't say anything. You can let them watch Game of Thrones. You can let them watch Game. There is literally no argument. In the barracks, we don't allow television. Okay, that's a rule. That's an appropriate military rule. When they're home and watching Game of Thrones, it's insane. And if you're allowed them to watch television, they get to watch Game of Thrones, and you're being fools, and you look like fools, and you're making a mistake somewhere else every time.
I feel like if you're in the military, it should be an obligation to watch Game of Thrones.
That's a whole other
right?
possibility. Yeah.
I feel like you're going to take away a lot of good information from that show.
Yeah, I mean, when the army outside the wall attacked the castle, I mean, they set the fire and it was a distraction. They came around the other side. There was some tactical shit going on there.
I know.
Stannis just rode in. They never saw him coming.
You guys are missing a great opportunity.
Totally, yeah.